You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, you guys may be a little surprised by my reaction on this because I did a video the other day about Brian Flores, and of course, I said the same thing I've been saying for years now since we first started talking about his absurd lawsuit, and that's what it is. The lawsuit is completely absurd against the National Football League for racial discrimination in a league that just rolls out generationally wealthy blacks. Okay? I think it's absurd. He's playing the victim. I said I think he would have already been a head coach had he not filed this dumbass lawsuit. And then we found out, hey, he's subpoenaed, they are subpoenaing most of the teams in the league now for their records and all that. And I said, well, he just ended any shot of ever getting a head coaching job. Now, okay, the NFL was appealing to the Supreme Court, and the NFL lost this appeal in the Brian Flores case. And you may be like, you're loving that, aren't you, Rhodes? Or you're not liking that because you're not for Brian Flores' case? No, wrong answer. And I'm going to tell you why I like this ruling. At some point, the Jon Gruden case is going to possibly have to go to the Supreme Court to fight against NFL's arbitration ruling, okay? And that's what, look, when these kind of things happen, what the NFL wants to do is have the Jon Gruden case and the Brian Flores case go to the NFL's own court system. All right? The NFL's own court system. In other words, we want to take it to arbitration and get an arbitration ruling in our favor so nothing has to be public. Oh, no. I'm not for this lawsuit, but put it all out on the table, and that's exactly what's going to happen in the Jon Gruden case. So this ruling may end up helping Jon Gruden, and I want to see Jon Gruden burn the league straight to the ground. So for the sake of eventual rulings, they may refer back to this when right here, the NFL, and let's see, this is Florio. I do like to go to Florio on these kind of stories because he is a lawyer. So he's able to add these legal nuggets in these stories. The NFL's in-house arbitration process isn't dead, but it's on the verge of a TKO. On Tuesday, the U.S. Supreme Court denied the NFL's petition for an appeal in the Brian Flores case. From the 25-page document submitted by the league January 2026, this is the question the NFL presented to the U.S. Supreme Court: whether an arbitration agreement governing disputes in professional sports leagues is categorically unenforceable under Federal Arbitration Act because it designates the league commissioner as the default arbitrator and permits the commissioner to develop arbitral procedures. The league wisely made the question narrow in order to avoid the possibility that the league's arbitration process would be taken to a logical extreme. If the NFL can make the commissioner the default arbitrator for any employment dispute or other legal claims made by employees, Jon Gruden, every American corporation can make the CEO the default arbitrator for any employment disputes or other legal claims. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit had found the NFL's arbitration agreement not enforceable due to the commissioner's power over the process. The decision not to take the appeal does not operate as an agreement by the Supreme Court. However, if the Supreme Court wanted to endorse the league's long-standing in-house process, it could have taken up the case and then reversed the outcome. They did not take it up. The legal posture doesn't prevent the NFL from arguing its position in cases arising in other courts. However, there's now a clear path to suing the NFL Jon Gruden, and avoiding the mandatory arbitration clauses in non-player employment contracts by suing the NFL in New York federal court, since the Southern District of New York falls within the Second Circuit. So, this is interesting. Now, Brian Flores' lawyers have commented on this. By the way, Ray Horton and Steve Wilks is in there. Steve Wilks is a terrible coach. I don't even think he's a good coordinator at this point. The Kyle Shanahan couldn't wait to fire his ass. The decision allows his case to proceed in court, in theory, to culminate in a public trial. Both sides have issued comments in the aftermath of the court's ruling. Quote, with respect to the Supreme Court's decision to not grant review, a league spokesperson said, regardless of the form, we are fully prepared to defend ourselves as matter proceeds. Flores lawyers, we are pleased that the Supreme Court declined to accept the NFL's appeal. The NFL must now accept that the commissioner cannot be arbitrator over discrimination claims against the league and its teams. We look forward to litigating these claims in court. Now, I think the claims are absurd. But again, anything that can remove Goodell as the overseer, because if they'd have ruled the other way, in theory, Goodell could have been the overseer for Jon Gruden's case too, if it reaches a certain level. Now, the speculation has always been, and I will conspiracy theory this too, because here we are, right? In this day and time, I mean, more conspiracy theories become true than are not at this point. I do, a lot of people would believe that, Jon Gruden has been flirted around about getting another head coaching job. And a lot of people believe that the NFL will give blessing to him getting another job if he drops his lawsuit. I want him to get another job because I enjoy watching Jon Gruden coach. I want him to crush the NFL into oblivion and get his $50 million or whatever it is. I think it's $50 million. All right? Just like I want this dumbass case to actually go to court and then all this shit to be proved invalid in a court of law without the NFL as an arbitrator. All right? This is the dumbest lawsuit in the history of the planet. He's playing total victim here. But Roger Goodell's not able to hide this in the shroud of the league. Good. Let's put it out on the table. Just like one day Jon Gruden may put it all out on the table, we want the NFL, in Jon Gruden's case, to have to fork over everything and prove to everybody this wasn't a hit job against Jon Gruden and his Raiders head coaching job. Hopefully, if the NFL tries to play that arbitration bullshit, they're going to get ruled against again. If they try to take it to the Supreme Court, it'll get shut down. So I think there's a world where this, in theory, could help out Jon Gruden. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know for sure. Again, Brian Flores, this was, whoever talked you into doing this was the worst idea ever. Somebody would have hired him, I believe, either season before last or this last season as a head coach. I think there's a chance that he would have gotten the Ravens job instead of Jesse Minter if he wasn't suing the effing league. It's a total backfire. But yeah, I don't want Roger Goodell policing anything, behind the scenes. No, put it all out there. Put it all out there. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.